How is everyone doing today? It is September 4th of 2021. We are super excited to show this tomato to grow in our yard this year. Last year, it is the Paul Robeson tomato. Last year we tried to grow it because we heard it might be the smokiest flavored tomato. My UT and quite a bit of Angel's favorite type of flavor in a tomato is that smoky flavor, almost like you would have on a hamburger or something along those lines. But we heard about this one, and so we tried to grow it. We had one green tomato that was decent enough to keep at the very end of the season because it got relayed in with the last of the plants, and it turned out ripening on our counter. And after trying it, from the flavor from that one sitting on the counter for like a week or two, we realized it probably had the flavor, one of the flavors that we were really looking for in a tomato. So we decided to put this one up front in our grows this year, and it's producing pretty well. As you can see on these ones, there's tons and tons of cracking. I'll pull a couple of these off in a second. There's a couple more right here. There's one more ripe right here. We really want to save seeds on this tomato. There's a lot of cracking going on, but that has to do mostly with our weather situation, our grow situation. I would like to mention though that it does have quite a bit to do with the tomato. The tomato shape and size of it, from what I've seen in other grows, it can be one that's a little bit more prone to cracking. But I'm really interested to see if this would make a good little smoky slicer type tomato, or if it would make a possible good smoky tomato soup, possibly. Like the black trifle is one that we really like. This one originates from Russia, but it's named after Paul Robeson, singer, actor, and political activist. I'll go ahead and put a vast amount of information is on his wiki. I'll go ahead and put the wiki down in the description box, so anybody that wants to study into that history, it's a pretty deep history on that one. But it's named after Paul Robeson, Paul Leroy Robeson, I believe, and it is supposed to be one of the smokiest flavored tomatoes. So we have several going. There's probably 10 on the vine right now. Some of them that were getting the severe cracking we left on there. We didn't want to pull the ones that were getting overly full off and then have that go into some of the other ones that were starting to show lighter signs of cracking. So some of these will not be the best to look. We're going to go ahead and save seeds on all these, even the ones with the cracking. We know that this type's a little bit prone to it, and we think with our situation is primarily why it expanded so much as it did. But I'll go ahead and pull a few of these off.
Ooh, very nice.
So this one's almost overripe. This one's about right on, and this one might be just a tiny bit under. It's more firm, so we'll be able to see them all in all three ways. So this is the Paul Robeson tomato, September 4th of 2021, and we'll catch you guys in just a second. Love you guys. All right, so the Paul Robeson tomato. This is three types. All three of these feel actually a little bit soft, so they're probably done. The cracking might have caused them to ripen a little bit faster too. But I'll go ahead and cut all these in half. We'll be saving seeds from these right after. It's not really meaty, and I'm not going to be too judgmental on the inside of it because of the rough. Alright, instead of a cough per video now, it's every single video we're having to take a break because the camera's switching settings on us mid-video. There's the second one. And there's the third one. And this is the one that you could tell from the outside was a little bit overripe. So they all seem to have green in them. They're not really meaty, and so I was not too much expecting it to have that from what I've seen on these so far. But that's alright because I'm actually looking into this as having more juices and stuff in it for a possible sauce. So I'll give this a taste. We had a dwarf type recently called the Tasmanian chocolate, and this is one of the parents of the Tasmanian chocolate. And it kind of surprised me because it leaned a lot towards a black trifle kind of flavor, and the black trifle is the front runner for if we were to make a tomato soup. That's the flavor we would want the tomato soup to have the most of is the black trifle. And the Taz chocolate was another one, and so this one might be the third one in that. Let me taste it though for sure. It's a little bit mealy in the inside, but yeah, I like it. It doesn't have that strong smoke flavor. I'm really interested in the green part of it. Tomatoes produce some sort of enzyme or chemical in them. And they have that in them when they're green. That's why a lot of people like fried green tomatoes, because when you fry up a green tomato, a lot of time it still has that substance in it that makes it taste smoky, if that makes sense. And that's why a lot of times the tomatoes that are able to ripen and still have that flavor are the ones that can hold on to that enzyme the longest. So the longer it ripens, the more it gets rid of it, even if it's, say, a Cherokee purple tomato. That's why you might also hear a lot of people like green Cherokee purple tomatoes, because they hold on to that enzyme a lot longer. This does have some green in it, where I could possibly taste it having a little bit of a smoky flavor. This one feels super ripened, though. That one did taste like that. So the Tasmanian chocolate that I was mentioning did have some similarities in flavor to the black trifle. Maybe it's just me, but this might be a little bit tangy. Angel's a lot better with tasting these things too and what she likes in them. I just ain't getting the super smoky flavor that I was hoping for. They're super, super juicy though, and I think that they would make a good sauce.
That is a good tomato. It's a little tangy, not super acidic. It has a little bit of a sweet and tangy flavor to it. I think ours are mealy based on our weather conditions with all the major rains we've been getting and then the super dry days following. And possibly even our fertilization. We generally...
My opinion is that this should be darker.
Yeah.
It seems like this should be darker. And there's not a lot of meat, but that's typical from what I've seen online as well.
Yeah, so it is a little mealy, and I think it's based on our weather conditions with the overwatering and then the underwatering with the hot days, so it hasn't been consistent, but it's a really good tasting tomato. I think it could be used as a paste even, or a sauce.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like a paste tomato, but it would make a good soup. I would like it. I don't know. I would have to put it next to the black trifle and the Taz chocolate at the same time, which we may have an opportunity to do in the next couple days to see which one would stand up. Offhand, I would say the black trifle would be better for soup, though, still.
Yeah, this just could be
followed
based
by
on...
this one, followed by the Taz chocolate. And this one mostly not because of the flavor above Taz chocolate, which it might lean a little bit better flavored than that, but mostly because of its size. You would get a lot more if you're trying to make soup or something than you would grabbing the smaller off the dwarf plants.
But this could also really be based on our growing situation too. Somebody else could be growing this in ground and have a much better experience than this. Have juicier tomatoes, different color.
Yeah, we've been a little bit behind in our fertilization and stuff like that too. We got to hit everything with Epsom salt water probably tonight to help everything ripen a little bit.
Yeah, and we've noticed when we use Epsom salt, it definitely helps with the flavor of tomatoes and peppers. And we haven't done it for a few weeks, so it could be that, or just we grow in containers and our growing could be vastly different from others. But it's a really good tasting tomato. I would recommend growing it at least once, give it a try.
Yeah, and these are all just our opinions. This is an excellent tomato. It's super productive out there. It's an indeterminate plant, but I'll take you guys outside for one last look at this one. It's the Robeson tomato. Love you guys. Alright, September 4th of 2021. This is just a single plant in the bin here. We run the cage up. When they get up to a certain height, we run a pole down next to them as well, and then we will continue to kind of try to arch them, because once they get too tall we can't, especially these indeterminate plants, they get too hard to reach up high and they start to bend and give it a full crease, so we try to arch them out so that they can kind of come down, which results in a lot of possible cross-pollination going on between our stuff. But this is a couple more right here at the end, a couple more right there, another one down here starting to ripen. There's another one in here ripening, a couple right here. So it's a pretty productive plant. It did pretty good singled like this. We usually don't single only because we're trying to mass crowd our yard with plants all the time. We really don't have a lot of plans in this, but yeah, an indeterminate, really productive plant. I'll provide some links to Paul Robeson in the comments section. A definite recommend to grow. I would put it at flavor around the black trifil or the Tasmanian chocolate dwarf variety, if anybody's tried any of those varieties. But I'm guessing that we'll still have quite a few tomatoes ripen in time. It's September right now. We love you guys, and hope our videos don't get too long. We have a lot more coming up for peppers especially, but really excited to give this one a try. It may not have the smoky flavor that I was expecting. I can tell that the little bit of the mealy innards were because of our grow situation, as well as the extra cracking. It is a little prone to cracking. We haven't noticed any blossom end rot, even though the shape of it would almost determine that, or maybe even a tiny bit of I think there's some cat facing on this one, a little bit of cat facing on this one, but they haven't been getting blossom end rot, so they're pretty disease resistant in our one situation right here from one plant. So everything is just a really small window into our opinions on these things. We're not professionals, we just kind of want to have fun and see something unique. So September 4th of 2021, the Paul Robeson tomato. We love you guys, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Get the goobs for the seeds. So what are you thinking? Maybe like a sauce or a soup or a wet salsa, huh?
Yeah.
Really similar to the black trifil, and even closer to the Taz chocolate. I would say the Taz chocolate is an alternate. If you wanted to try this tomato, you could almost grow the Taz chocolate dwarf variety. But a really good tomato. It got a really deep, rich flavor. For soup, I would go with the black trifil. For sauce, I might go with this one. Excellent stuff.